Today we're chatting with Joe Pyfer. Joe's at UFC. He's got quite a run over there recently. He's making some noise, knocking people out and knocking people down, and you got a little fussiness about him that I kind of like, and wanted to learn more about and highlight here as well. Where does your fight story, I guess before that, what is little Joe up to? What's your childhood like?
So I've done a lot of interviews about it, but I started jiu-jitsu at 4.5 years old. My dad was a Kensington guy, born and raised, had like a boxing background somewhat, and started learning jiu-jitsu and MMA himself. And from the time of 4.5, right about when he was learning, that's when I started learning from him. And then that was my introduction. And as far as like a childhood being brought up, like abusive, as far as my father and to the rest of my 4 sisters, there's 5 of us. So I'm one of 5, 2 older sisters, 2 younger. So a little bit of an abusive background to start, but started jiu-jitsu at 4.5 years old and then never stopped doing it until now. And now I'm a black belt and I'm in the UFC and get a chance to make my life better than what it was. So
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Where you grew up at?
I grew up in Vineland, New Jersey. So I was born and raised in Vineland, New Jersey till about 15. Real ugly divorce with the parents. And then we went up to a place called Delco in PA, which is, I was in Media, PA, then I was in Aston, PA, and Brookhaven, PA. So I was a PA boy for like 12 years. So
When you start taking up more diversified fighting besides jiu-jitsu, when you start thinking about MMA or...
Well, I had a dream of being in the UFC since I was 8 years old, because it's all we would watch. We used to watch all the like the absolute divisions with like Jacare Souza, Marcelo Garcia, like all these guys, the Gracies and all that. So I was always familiar with the combat sports, and then I was watching UFC. Ken Shamrock was like my favorite guy when it first started, Don Fry, even Tank Abbott. So it was something I always knew, but I started boxing at 7, and that's when I started doing that. And then I didn't start wrestling until my high school years. But yeah, I mean, it was something I always knew I wanted to do from about 8 years old. So yeah.
Dope.
Yeah.
No, that's fun to have the vision in your head and then go build the thing over time. I have my version of that, and that's a super cool thing to experience. If nobody else in the world knows about it, you feel good about it yourself, you know?
Yeah, it was always cool because I think what's cool about my story as far as seeing the dream or at least wanting to make that dream come true from that young, is that everybody kind of thought it was nuts or stupid, or I was the weird kid is how I was labeled, because that's all I would talk about, jiu-jitsu and fighting, and like that was what I took pride in doing. And kids don't understand that, but I had a vision, and even though nobody really kind of believed it, and my dad tried to stop it from happening and discourage it and all these things, I still kept going, man. And it definitely wasn't easy with the injuries along the way and just trying to make it actually come true, but it was well worth it, and it wound up paying off, and now I'm in the top 20 in the world. So it's cool to say that I've had success, and I didn't just make it, but I'm also doing well. So yeah, it's a cool story, man. It's a great thing to see come to fruition. And
you're still young. You got a lot of time that you could be fighting there for 10, 15 years. You got a lot of trajectory left.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we take as least damage as possible and make the most money as we can. Trying to get that financial security before my career's over.
When did you first get signed to UFC? That's you've been there a couple of years anyway.
I think it was 2020, the end of, like, towards the end, like halfway through the end, or halfway through the year of 2022, I think it was, or maybe 2023, I don't remember. I know I've been in UFC like 2.5 years, so.
Did that feel a bit surreal at the time that you focused on something for that long, and then you're 25 and you finally got the thing?
Yeah, because when I had my first opportunity on the Contender Series and then my arm broke, I was 20 years in the game at that point, 20 some years in the game at that point, and it was like, man, did I lie to everybody? Did I let everybody down? Is this really the end? Because they were all telling me the doctors, they were telling me I wasn't going to fight again, and like the risk of dislocating my arm or even taking that kind of impact from punching again, like my arm could dislocate. So I really thought my career was done after that, and or at least I had hope that it was still able to be a possibility I could make it back or go back to fighting, but it was something that I had to get back in there and do to realize that I could still do it. So it was definitely a very dark place after that, and but I had a little sliver of light at the end of the tunnel, and had a good team around me, had good love and support, and they got me back in there. So once I finally got back and then won it, that was the surreal part.
The arm looks healthy. I see you cracking people hard over there.
Yeah, no, it's healthy. I think this is stronger than my left elbow now. My left elbow's got all crazy arthritis. It hurts more than the right one. So it's done good, but I've done a lot of work with rehab and PT and constant. It's like something I have to constantly do, which is fine. But yeah, it was a big hurdle to get over.
I was at your last fight. I was in the front row, and I see you with Kelvin Gastelum, and shout out to Kelvin.
Yeah.
And Kelvin's a tough guy, and I know that guy for, I don't know, 6 years, 7 years, something like that. And he's a durable person. He's talented and durable. And you dropped him, so I think twice in the first round, yeah?
Yeah, I dropped him, I think, in the first minute. Then I head kicked him. Then I dropped him again. And man, yeah, it's the first guy I've ever dropped that I was like, man, he just keeps getting back up. I wasn't discouraged or anything, but I was like, admiring, man, this dude is just really a gamer, and there's a reason he's never been finished as far as, being TKO'd or KO'd. But I pride myself in having crazy power. I definitely hunted the single shots a little too much after I dropped them, but I mean, I feel like I really dominated the fight, didn't take any damage. I think I got hit 6 times total. I remember getting a jab, a check hook, 2 body shots, and then the 2-piece in the 3rd round, which was his best shot, and it didn't do shit. So, but yeah, I'm happy he got his Hall of Fame inductee with Israel in that fight, and yeah, I beat a legend, so it was cool.
Okay. What are some of the so far? What is the toughest moment you had in a fight where you're like, or having a moment of like the?
I think when Jack Hermanson punched me in my eyeball in the 3rd round, I was seeing like triple of him. And I literally thought my eyeball went to the back of my head. I thought it was a poke at first, but his knuckle went right on my eyeball, like direct eyeball shot. So that really fucked me up for that fight. And then obviously he just started chipping the shit out of my calf. And I think it was a combination of things. He bought his time and he was investing in the calf kick, and then it wasn't hurting me or anything like that until I got hit in the eyeball, because then my movement stopped. I stopped going forward. But I just remember eating that many calf kicks. I think I took about 35 calf kicks and still didn't fall. So I was like, man, this sucks. Yeah, but probably that moment.
Yeah, I would just in training and not hard, real fighting. I get kicked plenty of times, and my legs are big and durable, and it still doesn't feel so good. And if you keep getting smacked in the same place in a live fight, that's got to feel like.
Yeah, I mean, it's that nerve, man. It doesn't just shut down like your mobility, but it shuts down your, like, you can't even curl your toes. Like, you can't bounce. Like, that bounce is gone. So if you really mess somebody's calf up, man, like, that's just, you're crippled. I mean, just even look at the Khalil Roundtree and Jamal Hill. Like, his footwork was, obsolete because he wasn't able to move and just got his chopped up. So it's definitely probably one of the most effective tools in MMA, I would say, if you're able to soften it up.
I think Khalil Roundtree is underrated. That guy's super talented, nice guy if you ever spend time with him.
Yeah.
Like, humble guy, very nice guy.
Yeah, he's really good.
Very talented.
Yeah.
Fucking
I think the
kicks
problem
hard.
is that he's lost by TKO, KO in the past to guys that aren't really relevant now. So I think that's why he's kind of underrated. I don't agree with it, but yeah, I like Khalil Roundtree.
I thought he was going to do very well against Jamal, and I'm happy things worked out for him well. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, good guy. I think a little underrated. Who you want to fight in the future? You got a couple people that you think about, or just whoever's in the rankings, or how do you think about that?
Yeah, whoever's in the top 15, man. I got one fight left on my deal, so we got to do some talking. If you go into another contract, and if I enter the top 15, I want to make sure that I'm securing financial security, like just climbing the ranks, earning my way, basically. So, but yeah, I think I'm watching the Brendan Allen Marvin Vettori. Me and Brendan are friends. I don't think we would fight unless it's for a #1 contender, because he comes up and trains with us pretty often. But I do like the Marvin Vettori fight. I don't mind the Roman Kopylov fight. I don't mind the Abus Magomedov fight. I mean, he's 3-2 in the UFC and he's top 15. Doesn't make sense to me, but I'm 5-1. More finishes than him. Doesn't make sense at all to me, but he did beat Michel Pereira, who was ranked. So yeah, I could see that being a possibility. I know the UFC didn't like that I said no to that fight before the Kelvin, but they wanted me to fight overseas and all this shit, and I was like, I'm not doing that. So, no, Yeah, I think that would be good. But one of his friends trains with us. So if it did take that fight, we'd have to figure something out where, like, I'm not having no guy that's friends with the dude I'm fighting in my gym.
There's a lot of little tricky things like that that happen behind the scenes that the audience is, just wouldn't be aware of because they're not in that context.
Yeah. So to answer your question, I'm not set on anybody specific. So yeah, whoever is in the top 15 and whatever's next, So it's going to depend on how our negotiations go and what I think I deserve and what they think I deserve, and we'll go from there. But ultimately, my job is to fight and climb the ranks, and that's what I'll do.
Brendan Allen's a good guy. I took him to dinner a couple times and hung out with him different times down at Henry Hooft is a good friend, and I know a lot of guys down at the Kill Cliff gym. And
him and Tuco. They come up and train with us. Yeah.
Tuco's a nice guy. I don't know him well, but every time he's very friendly with me anytime I see him. And
he's a good dude.
Warm-hearted. What gym are you mostly training in?
I'm at Marquez MMA in Philadelphia, which is me, Sean Brady, Bertrowski, Nur Sultan, Jeremiah Wells, Pat Sabatini, and then a whole bunch of other killers that are coming up too. But that's our main gym, my main boxing coach and everything. So he's the head guy, and then my jiu-jitsu coach is Jonathan Webb. He's right over the bridge down in Jersey, so we all cross-train. But those are the two lead guys that we do our coaching, that are on our coaching staff.
John Marquez, Kyle Sermonero over there?
Yeah. He's a little more like North Jersey, like closer to New York. So we don't go up that
Kyle's
way.
a good friend. So him and Caitlin, his wife, they come train with me different times. And
are you out of East Coast?
I'm a Nevada resident, but then I also have a facility in Chicago. So I do a lot of filming. I built a weightlifting gym in Chicago. I built an MMA gym in Chicago, just for me, not for the public. But it's like professional facility, like $4 or $5 million I spent on that stuff, plus massage chairs and saunas and all the little luxury spots that go with it. So, I was pissed off about the nonsense. In the hysteria of 2020, they made it so you can't go exercise, you can't go to a gym. They got the National Guard, guarding the waterfront that in the parks of the city. You can't go jog in a park, you can't ride a bicycle, you can't do. And I was very offended by this. It really pissed me off. And
that's what caused you to make it?
Yeah, I was doing well financially. And during that time, the good things about those type of hysterias are when people act ridiculous, then I can make a lot of money in the stock market. So those are wonderful opportunities for me. But it wasn't good for my health at that time. So I was kind of a fatty. I was like 300 pounds and pretty fat. And but I always had good habits going to the gym before. But I'm kind of an obsessive person that I'm either going to do something pretty intense or I'm probably not going to do it,
Yeah, I'm not doing it at all.
When they take my gym away and then I start eating, had bad eating habits and
you're staying inside. You're staying inside, you got to stay 6 feet, got to wear a fucking mask, got to do all this weird shit, so.
I wanted to never have that situation again. So I bought a lot more property there, and then I built my own MMA center. So about 3,800 feet of training facilities and stuff for being fit. And then I fly guys over, and women fly. 40 of the top UFC people have been over there. They train with me all the time. So Jake Shields is my main coach for grappling. I have my black belt under him. And then Glover and Lyoto, I get belt number 6 out of 9 and we'll call it Kempo karate, but it's MMA striking. We're not learning karate, we're doing MMA striking.
Yeah, so you've been in this for a while.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
A lot of things to make better, A lot of things you can always make shit better, but
well, that's the beauty of the sport, right? Good. You're always chasing perfection, but you'll never achieve it, but there's always something to get better at. There's always something you could do differently. There's always something to improve on, especially when you're putting it on the performance stage and competing. I don't know if you can compete jiu-jitsu, but yeah.
I'm just an old man that just a little, I can't do things halfway, so my brain doesn't really do that. So, I had a cool opportunity. When I was a kid, I was interested in martial arts, but I never did that in the first part of my life, I was focused on, money, the same way that people thought you were a weirdo thinking about fighting. People thought I was a weirdo focused on money. But I grew up poor and we didn't have any money, And my father was in prison for most of my childhood and blah, blah, blah. And so I wanted to make sure that my adult life was a little more fabulous than my childhood. So I focused on that a lot. And then, one time I woke up and I thought, well, you have more money than you ever thought you would have, certainly at that age. And what's the other you'd like to do? But you're 300 pounds and fat and looking a little lethargic. So what else would you like to do with your life? And I'll continue to do financial things, and I like that, and I enjoy that. I'll do that forever. Like Warren Buffett's 94, and he still thinks about the stock market every day, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I thought that was a good time. I knew some of the MMA guys. I knew some of the UFC guys, and I thought, well, let me ask, this one, that one to come train with me and help me out with a few things. And then I realized, like, well, if you're only doing real training a couple, 6 days a month, 10 days a month, it's not sufficient,
No, not at all.
So then I built a ridiculous schedule where I have like everybody, all kinds of people are over there. Hoist Gracie comes, Gordon Ryan comes, Mikey Musumeci just won the UFC grappling thing. Mikey comes. Arlovsky was with me this week. Greg Jackson was over with Arlovsky. So yeah, all the coaches come over. Mike Brown's been there a couple times.
Yeah, they know the place to go.
Henry Hoof's been there several times. So I brought a bunch of the best fighters and their coaches, and Frank Mir helped me a lot. Chuck comes over once or twice a year, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. You build a gym that's desirable. It probably catered to nothing but fighters. So
yeah, just us. It's like literally just us. It's just
that's awesome.
We film for an hour or two. Well, they're there. They're there for 4 days. We'll film for a couple hours. So we don't have cameras annoying us all the time, or we don't have to deal with anything with the public. So we're just doing our own thing, and it's been super cool. It's kind of a surreal opportunity.
So this is something you just do for fun, obviously.
Yeah, it's
an interest.
I mean, it's good for my business. There's synergies there. That there's, mostly young men. The people that are clients of mine, we have some women, but it tends to be young men that are ambitious. They're men that are 25 to 45 that are already doing well, like significantly above average, but they know they could be doing better with their finances. And there's an overlap in the fight community that way too. The young guys that want to do better, want to be more. So there's an overlap in that market, or in those personality types. And so yeah, it's good for business. It's good for. But I didn't build like a fake ass brand where I have to pretend to be somebody I'm not. I could build a brand that's my sincere personality, and some people like it and some don't, and that's fine with me.
Well, that's kind of why I chose this sport, as I don't like people telling me what to do, where to be. I'm not that I'm not punctual and timely and things like that, but it's like there's a certain tone in how people talk to you. In the work industry of 9 to 5, and I just can't tolerate that. I don't think I would be able to hold the job, and I'd probably have a lot of HR problems. So, and this was something I was willing to wake up at any point in the day to get better at. I've been to training sessions at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. just to prove that I wanted to do it. And that's how I earned my first coach in San Morpeza when I was an amateur, trying to get him to coach me when he already had 2-3 jobs and kids and, a wife and things like that. And he didn't have the time to coach me, but I got him to believe in me and coach me and really help my career because I would show up 3, 4, 5 a.m. at his trade school that he was teaching wrestling at. Nobody's there. What the f- are we doing at 3, 4, 5 a.m. training? Like it's not optimal. I didn't get good sleep, whatever. But I had those proving grounds in the beginning. But yeah, like I said, it was something I wanted to do, to have freedom of choice, and it's all up to the work ethic and workload that I'm willing to endure. So I think MMA is a great example of not having really a boss, and marching to the beat of your own work ethic.
I really love what you said. A few things you said there. That I quit my last job when I was 19, and I wasn't suited to have everybody has a boss. Everybody has a boss.
Yeah.
Me and you and everybody else. But you're going to choose to either that you're going to be the boss and you got to follow your own instructions and do the right things. And if you can't follow your own instructions at a high level, then you got to follow somebody else's instructions. And that's how life is, And it was easier for me psychologically to be, more, rough with myself, or, firm with myself. Like, no, this is, if you want to be successful, this is the you're going to have to do.
Yeah.
And, and some people don't want to do that. And that's why, that's okay. It's great that we have a diverse economy, and you probably don't have time to drive like Uber Eats.
I do not.
Yeah, but somebody does.
I have time to do the things I want to do.
Somebody does. Somebody, because they couldn't follow higher level instructions, they deliver my Uber Eats, and I appreciate that. And I give them a little tip. Yeah. I give them a little tip when they drop off my Uber Eats. But I don't really have time for that. Yeah. And you probably don't have time for that because you probably were too disciplined to follow some different instructions.
Yeah. Well, it was I quit my job at 22. Maybe 21. I think it was either 21 or 22. I quit my job. I was working at LA Fitness, and a lady, the manager, was stealing my customers that I would try to sign up. And I remember looking at a check, and I was like, I worked 67 hours, and I made $452 after taxes.
Wow.
And she stole a lot of commissions, and I was like, you know what? You, and I left. And I told her to her face, you, and yeah, I quit, and I had no money. My car got repossessed. My phone got shut off. Insurance got, I had nothing. It was like one of the saddest times. I'm a big car guy, so when they came and took my 2006 Mustang GT that I'd been through everything with, it was like one of the most humiliating, humbling, I gotta make it. And I'm not gonna have a half foot in, half foot out, because my first 3 amateur fights I had worked full time. I won by knockout in 17 seconds my first fight. I lost a decision to a collegiate wrestler at middleweight, weighing 176 pounds, fighting at middleweight. Didn't have a strength coach, wasn't eating the best, wasn't sleeping the best, had a toxic relationship and all this. Came back, won another fight, and I was just like, man, I'm not invested in this emotionally. This is what I've always wanted to do, and I know I'm not emotionally invested. I know I can be so much better because I could walk in the gym and compete with guys that had no life, and we're doing this every single day. And I was like, man, imagine if I was able to do this every single day. I would smash these guys. I'm already competing with these guys, and they're training, and they're full-grown men, and I'm a young dude. So, yeah, I quit my job and was like, F it. Plan A, that's it. So I didn't give myself the option of plan B. I didn't have anything else. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I didn't have any trade skills at that time. I didn't want to go to school. And so, yeah, when I put all my eggs in one basket, that's literally what I've done, and I still do till this day. Yeah, obviously I'm going to make investments and try to talk to people and expand and do things like this and get my name out there,
I asked to meet with you today because, in part, I respect your fight skills, but there's an element to your personality that I think is humorous, and also I identify with myself a little bit.
Unapologetically myself.
True. There's this little soundbite that I saw on Instagram a couple of weeks ago. I think it was a press conference for one of the media things for your New Jersey fight, and this media clown Dick says something about your hair. I'll leave it at that. And I loved your response to that. The just kind of a sincere you feeling about it. Just like I think you say, I'm going to remember your face.
Yeah, I said I'm going to remember your face.
Yeah, there you go.
But it was like a backhanded compliment. I don't think he meant it in a bad way, but
I don't think he meant it in a good way.
I kind of took it as a joke, but are you trying to f with me? Because I don't I don't mind interviews. I don't mind talking to people. I think I'm a pretty open book. I'm not a dickhead to any fans or anything like that. And I've gotten a lot of backlash for the things that I've said, which I don't give a about, because again, I'm going to be myself, whether you like me, whether you don't like me. I don't need anybody's approval to be who I am. It's just who I am. This is my role in life, be me. And so when he was like, oh yeah, you had the greatest comeback of all time as your hairline, I'm like, yeah, what's wrong with that? So it's just
I kind of took it a different way. And you correct my model if it doesn't sound right, but and I don't know shit about you at that moment. I'm just sort of getting to know you right now, but I know enough that I'm like, this guy is working his ass off. I'm like, this guy is working his ass off in a really tough sport. I think the toughest sport.
Yeah, I do.
And you got to put in at least a decade of hard work to have any skills there, And and I've been training. I'm not trying to fight professionally. To me, it's a hobby. But in grappling, I can roll. I beat a lot of the UFC guys. I have and can, and in grappling.
Yeah.
And that's tough, man. It's a tough sport.
Yeah,
and you're going to have injuries. You're going to have soreness.
It was ignorant because it's I put all this time in. I just had the fight canceled, and then you want to make a joke about my hair.
Yeah, I just thought it was a disrespectful thing on his part, and I thought to myself about you. And again, I don't know a lot about you, but I thought to myself, this guy's working his ass off, probably for a long time, to be in this spot in a really tough sport. And now he's got to do all this media, which a lot of people don't really enjoy doing. And then and this clown, who's is a most likely, almost certainly, is going to say some smart ass. I just thought it's disrespectful for the amount of effort that somebody's putting in. You're probably a guy who's like me and a lot of people, came from a tougher spot. You're proud of yourself, that you're proud of the things you're doing, and you're working hard to do even more.
Yeah, you could.
And then somebody wants to take a poke at you.
You could have asked a more educated question since he even has the opportunity to be there to even talk to us. It's not like I think we're special in our sport, so yeah, you should respect the fighters enough to not try to antagonize them, because then if I lose my cool and I go and I run after you in the stands and attack you, then it's like you're a victim. And old me would do that, but I gotta have a little more self-control these days. So
if the guy's going to cover the sport, then be respectful of the people that he's covering.
He's a pretty skinny dude too. He definitely looked like he lives in his mom's basement still.
And to your point, then when somebody says some smart ass and you slap him or something, not even hurt him, just slap him, then he's going to want to make a fuss about that,
Yeah. It's kind of like the whole deal, like, I'm not sure if you're familiar with like Dennis Bazookia, like he hit somebody in the crowd that was trying to like grab him, rob and whatnot, and then they tried to swing on him, so he hit him, and he got in trouble, he got suspended, and it's like, come on, man. Like you shouldn't allow a fan, if a fan touches a fighter, period, at all, in an aggressive way, you should be allowed to defend yourself. I think this country is really like up with its self-defense laws, where like if I get into a fight as a fighter against somebody who doesn't know how to fight, but they started it and they attacked me, and I that person up, it's like, oh well, you should have the self-control to not hurt somebody. And it's like, bro, in a street fight, this is life and death to me, so it's like I'm not sitting there thinking like, oh, this is a sport, I'm going to choke him out, especially if I'm in a street fight. So I think it's a little bit crazy sometimes how the fighters get treated, and like we have to deal with fans. I'm not at that level. I'm not a superstar at all, or even close to a superstar status. Like, I get recognized a little bit, and that's as far as it goes. But I feel bad for some people like Conor McGregor, bro, because he's probably getting people in his face at all times, kind of like an actor does. And you're not allowed to do anything about it, and it's a little bit ridiculous. But you're allowed to be in my space, in my personal space, saying whatever the you want. So I don't know, a little tangent, but I think it's a little crazy.
No, I agree with it, and those tangents are fun. That I don't need to have a structured conversation the way the audience likes. I like to have a conversation about whatever the hell we're talking about, and the right people will understand that, and I don't really care about the other ones.
The ones that get me the worst are the podcasters, though.
Yeah.
The ones that do MMA reviews, the ones that cover MMA, because they are the most disrespectful of them all. They'll sit there and say that a fighter sucks, and they'll be a fat and they've never fought in their life, and they probably would get, I don't know, pegged in high school. Like, you could tell that they ain't got a backbone behind them. But like, I don't want to say names because I don't want to put their name out there, but there's a couple guys that I'm just like, man, I hope I see you guys one day. I hope I see you guys one day, because they just completely disrespect fighters. Not even just me, many, Jamal Hill and Brendan Allen, and like, I get it. Everybody's like, I'm salty Joe, they're salty, all this shit. It's like, yeah, I do. I take things personally, and I get irritated by it, because it's a bunch of guys that have no idea the sacrifice, the dedication to the sport, and how detrimental it is with a loss. Like, you're sitting there making fun of somebody, telling them they're fraud checked, or they lost, or they got knocked out, and you're making fun of that. It's like, bro, that's that guy's career. That's like me laughing because you didn't get a promotion in your podcast or your 9-to-5 job. Like, it's just, so I hate the podcasters, to be honest.
I don't like to do a lot of mainstream media shit anymore. I'm willing to go on people's shows or do interviews like that, but like the major networks are such a fraud in the way they conduct the interviews, and they do creative editing, they do a lot of slimy that I'm not a big fan of that. And I never do that to anybody. If I have, people have said a lot of personal things on camera that would have been great clickbait, and I just omit it. That, like, I'm not trying to make somebody look bad to the public, So it's quite the opposite.
Example is, you watched my fight with Kelvin, you were there. And an honest opinion, do you think that the fight was close?
Dude, it was a 30-20 I like Kelvin. I know Kelvin.
Yeah.
I have his phone number. I've done interviews with him.
Like
We've flown together. I like him.
But I
respect him. But you clearly dominated that fight.
I clearly dominated the fight. And that's my only argument. Was it the most exciting after the first round? I don't think so. Could I have done more? Absolutely. Did we have a game plan? Yes. And I think that is exactly why the fight became a little bit more boring. But I don't think it was like a snooze fest.
Joe, is that your job to make the most exciting fight every day? It's your job to win
Exactly. But that's the problem with the social media is you get the anxiety of everything that everybody says if you're on it. And unfortunately, I have to be on it to a certain degree to promote myself and put up posts and sponsorships and things like that. But my example is of like what you said, like people were like, oh, Joe Pyfer. So I went on Ariel Helwani's show and they were like, oh, Joe Pyfer slams. And it wasn't Ariel that posted it, I don't believe. But like people like took the clips from that and then they put it out there, Joe Pyfer slams Joe Rogan. And I guess it must have offended Joe Rogan a little bit. And it's like, bro, I said I thought that the commentary, when I watched the fight back for studying reasons and just watching the fight back in general, they made it seem like it was so close. And then they were kind of like, oh, Joe can't just throw one punch. And it was like very critical of my performance. And I'm like, bro, my whole style and game plan was to counter his aggression, which he is in every single fight. After I dropped him, his game plan changed, I guess, and he didn't come forward that much. He only threw things from far away, so I didn't get many opportunities. And the second time I dropped him was when he was doing what? Coming forward after me. And he threw a couple punches, and I slid back, and then I countered him. That was our game plan. Slide back, counter, make him miss, make him pay. That was our game plan. But if you don't give me opportunities to make you miss, I can't make you pay. So all I was saying was, I thought it was a little unfair because the expectation on me, I feel, is very high to get the finish, and it was like they made the fight closer than what it was. And I'm like, bro, that's there forever. So if somebody goes back and watches this fight, they're gonna think it's closer than it is, and it's just not. That's not how it was. I got hit 6 times in the whole fight.
In my space, as an analog for this, and we'll go back to fighting in a moment. In my space, I'm a business dork / investor more than anything else, yeah. And then fighting is a hobby, weightlifting is a lesser hobby, a couple other hobbies in my life. In making money, I don't give a clowns that are stuck in poverty, they're very opinionated about, like, you missed the crypto, blah, blah, blah. You should have, you missed NVIDIA, you missed Tesla. Some at home who's done nothing in his life, who's delivering the Uber Eats, is going to be opinionated away, but I do something. I worked my ass off forever to go make some money. By 2020, I had a little less than $11 million to net worth at 10.8-ish. A year and a half later, by the end of 2021, after all the stock market hysteria, I made $42 million, additional $42 million I added to my net worth in 19 months, 20 months. Yeah. And some idiot on the internet's going to be, you missed the crypto thing. You could have been a billionaire. You could have done this. You could why aren't you a billionaire? If you're so brilliant, why aren't you the world's first trillionaire? Yeah. So I'm doing fine, man. I'm doing fine. Yeah. I'm working hard every day to do better. Yeah. I'm not perfect. I never said I was perfect. Yeah. I never said I understand every single thing in the economy about investing, and nobody does. Yeah. Nobody does. Yeah. And I would focus you on that to the extent you give a shit about my opinion, is that just make sure you win, dude. Just make sure you get the money. The smartest thing Conor McGregor ever said, he's a better marketer than he is a fighter, and he was a good fighter, but he says, one day they love you, the next day they hate you. Just make sure you get paid both days. I think it's the best quote I ever heard from him.
That is your opinion does matter because you understand the game, but you train. You're at a high level in jiu-jitsu, which means that you've put in the time, you understand it. You've gone with, like you said, UFC caliber guys, beat some of them, can hang with most of them. Like, you understand the game, you're around it, your gym's built around catering to the sport, and so you can have an educated opinion, and it does matter. And it does matter because you said the same thing to the guy who's, some of the people that are closest to me in my coaching. They said the same thing. We don't give a f***. You didn't get hurt. You won, you dominated, you hurt him, you dropped him, you didn't take any damage. You got paid 2 checks, that's all that matters. And you followed the game plan. He wasn't willing to engage the way that we thought he was. That's not your problem. You went out there, you dominated, and you beat a guy who just got inducted into the Hall of Fame, and with his fight with Izzy and all that. And it's like, yeah, you know what? I need to stop being so hard on myself, because I will say, like, this fight, it doesn't feel like I fought. It doesn't feel like I won. It's not the same as obviously getting a finish, and that's also part of the reason you don't get like that high, so you don't get a low. It's just, I'm kind of like same, like, it's just another day I fought. And that's really all it was, right? But, a lot of the things people don't consider. I fought in front of the president. that was my first main event, not main event, main card with that many people and all the crowd. And like, I didn't give a about none of that. I wasn't worried about any of that. Didn't feel nervous for any of that. Didn't care. I was very present in the moment and was enjoying the fight. And it's like, that is what, happiness in the sport feels like, is being able to be present and happy to just have the opportunity.
If you could go do the same thing you just did 15 more times, you're going to be in the Hall of Fame. And it doesn't matter what some commentator said about it.
Yeah, win. That's it. Yeah, if it's boring or not, it doesn't matter as long as you got that dub next to your name. And like you said, 2 checks. So hopefully I can change my pays to be guaranteed. I don't like fighting for 2 checks. I like fighting for guaranteed. I want security. I feel like that for me personally, my mentality is I feel like it makes you fight a little safer versus it's guaranteed I'm going to go out there and put it on the line. And I can just kind of be free with my style versus having to fight a style to have to win. Because I need to win.
I'm curious about that. So just the way the incentive systems work in my head, I think that it makes sense to me that there's a guaranteed show up rate, plus a win bonus or second check to the winner. So that structure makes a lot of sense to me. It's not my career. I don't get paid that way, but it just makes sense to me. What are your thoughts? I guess you just said your thoughts about it. You feel
I think it makes sense for people that are starting out. I think guaranteed should be something that's earned. Through the way that you prove your career, whether you're exciting, whether you're a decisionator, whether you're, so I think I've proven that I'm a finisher and I'm exciting. I got big power and I'm only getting better and I'm 28, I'm young, I'm already 5-1. Like, I'm gonna be a threat to all these other guys for sure. So, and this is where I wanna be. So I think for me, switch me to guaranteed. I think it allows me to be a little bit more free anxiety-wise versus, because I'm not a millionaire and I'm not some big payday guy yet or anything like that. I'm on my way, but I would, considering I have 1 fight left on my deal. I assume we're gonna talk, before I go and take another fight. But for me, I just think it's better for my mentality because I want to get the finish and I want to go out there and I want to fight. At the end of the day, I want to fight. That's what I'm there to do. I don't really care about the results anymore. I want to fight. I want to hurt somebody. I want to get in there and I want to compete. I can't control the result anyway. All I can control is my effort. But in doing that, I don't want to have the stress of, well, if I don't and I get careless and I lost, I don't get paid.
From a business perspective, the type of business person that would want to do that deal with you is going to be like, all right, we'll give him guaranteed money. It's going to be less than he would have got.
Yeah.
It's going to be less than we would have got if he, is, show plus win.
Yeah.
It's a little dangerous in that way. As for financially, you might be financially better off, with the traditional, show plus win model.
Yeah.
For your psychology, you might perform differently, and for your psychology, maybe you would be better off that way, long term financially. But in general, it'd be a lower number that they'd be willing to agree to as a guaranteed number.
Yeah. Well, only one way to find out, right? You ask, you either get told to f off, or you ask and you get what you want. And if you get what you want and you love it, so be it. At least you stood by what you wanted, and now you better go out there and perform. Or, you suck and keep losing and get cut. So, that's not how I see my career going. I don't think that'll be me. And so I'm excited to get back in there, man. I'm healthy for the most part. I just didn't want to do it. Like, they offered me to fight Roman Kopylov because Paulo Costa fell out. And I was like, yeah, I'll fight Roman Kopylov, but I'm not fighting him on the 25th. Like, I did 2 back-to-back weight cuts with the cancellation out in Mexico, and constantly like being in a deficit to make the weight. Like calorie-wise and macros and things like that. Like, I don't want my body to shrink for the division because I did 3 back-to-back weight cuts. Like, I need to take some time, and I also don't like finishing something and then jumping right back into another thing. I cut too much weight at middleweight to just constantly be able to fight.
What are you walking around at normally?
220, yeah. So right now I'm only like 210 because I'm traveling. I don't get to cook my own meals, like food. I'm not eating food, but it's not home cooked food, you know what I mean? So I'm not lifting as much because I'm on the road. I got a lot of traveling. I'm moving into a new house and things like that when I get back home. So a lot of really good things, man. So I'm just, and I want to enjoy summer a little bit because it's so short on the East Coast. So I would like to have like a month of summer with, getting to do some of the things that I've been wanting to do that I didn't get to do last year because I was fighting on International Fight Week, so I didn't really enjoy the summer. And then after I fought and won, I had to go get back surgery. So
Who'd you fight last year? Who'd you fight at International Fight Week last year?
Marc-Andre Barriault.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, I was at that fight, but I just didn't recall that.
That was nasty.
That you were on the card.
Yeah. I knocked him out face first, like in the first minute and a half.
It's a Canadian guy.
Yeah,
Tough guy.
Yeah, tough guy. He made a good resurgence, comeback fight, and hit Bruno Silva with a nasty elbow off the cage. I don't know if you had watched that fight, but that was good. He's a good dude too. I know, like, it's Men's Mental Health Awareness for like this month, and I know he does a lot of good stuff. So I was happy to see him get a win.
What do you think of this men's mental health stuff? Do you have a personal opinion about some of this?
I'm 50-50. I think it's very important to a certain extent, but then I think it also brings out the men that want to constantly cry about it. I think I've been one of them that has tried to say a little too much about it, and people interpret me as being a soft crybaby. But anytime I've ever cried after a fight is just because of being grateful and appreciative, and it wasn't always easy. So it was pulling myself out of a dark place. I've had suicide problems. I don't want to say problems, but thoughts in the past, and struggled emotionally. Not having a dad that gave a and any guidance or any family outside of mom, dad, 4 sisters. So I had a victim mentality for an early portion of my adulthood. But again, being around the right people, good coaching, good friendships, and building those relationships that really pulled me out of it and gave me the mentality to be thankful. So I don't think that everybody that does have mental health problems is soft, but I think there's a lot more fake victimization cases than there are real people with or real men with mental health.
I think there's some people that, I'm not a medical professional and I don't pretend to be, but I think there's some people that maybe have some hormonal imbalance or something's off in their physiology.
Well, look at all the chemical in the States. Yeah. All your food is fake. You got dyes. You got metals. You got ADD medicine.
Agreed.
Yeah, everybody's.
So everything's a prescription. There's a prescription for everything because that's how pharmaceutical companies make money.
Yeah.
They're the biggest advertisers on those fake news networks that I talked about.
Yeah.
And I think I agree with all that. The food portions, or different chemicals, or environmental circumstances that could throw your body off anyway.
So it is real.
If I think about history, though, I think about any gangster from history that you or I would respect. Of course, he had some PTSD too.
Yeah.
You think Hannibal marched 100,000 troops through the Alps? Half of them died before he got there, and he was a menace to the Roman army for 13 years. Stayed in Rome, stayed in their territory for 13 years and them up. Then retreated and came back later and them up some more in life.
Yeah.
Like, do you think he was super mentally? Did he have a good balanced life during that time?
Probably not.
No, he was 8 years. He was on the battlefield since he was 8 years old with his father, who was the head of the Carthaginian army, and he watched everyone in his family died. His father died by the Romans. His brothers died. He found out his brother-in-law died when they catapulted his head over a wall and it rolled near his feet, and so on and so on. And then he died in his 60s. He was killed by a Roman sword when he was 68 or so, I think. 67.
Well, I love history, so I'm not familiar with that, but I love that, and I'm actually going to look that up because I like that.
Hannibal from Carthage.
I'm really big on I like that kind of like that time frame of history, even movies wise with like Gladiator, 300, things like that. I've always been into that, but it's a great example.
These guys are not going to, Julius Caesar or Napoleon or Alexander, people, the names that people would know or that you'd likely know. These people didn't have the most balanced life, and when I hear this stuff with some kid in his 20s like, balance is really important, Derek. And so I know you're like, balance is not for. You're not going to have an optimally successful life if you're worried about balance in your 20s or 30s.
Yeah, I think I don't think it's bad to have. Well, it depends on what they mean by balance. Like, as far as balance, so you're gonna work. Like, I have no problem. I can say wholeheartedly, before I ever said anything or ever even had a conversation about men's mental health, I didn't talk to anybody about my mental health publicly. It was like I asked people questions like, "Yo, why am I angry about this? Why I hate this?" Like, my attitude was like anger all the time. And that's a part of men's mental health. It doesn't always have to be depression, but like, I hated everything. I was mad about this, mad about that, because I had a victim mentality. Why this me? But I kept working. And that's one thing I can pride myself in, is that looking back, I wasn't And I kept working, no matter what condition I was in mentally. Like when we talk about Hannibal, it was like, it doesn't matter what happens, you still kept fighting. You came back, you still kept doing the same thing, which was to try and wipe out those people. But like, whether I was depressed or whether I was sad or whatever the case is, I think you're entitled to feel how you want, but you still have a job to do. And if you have a dream, it's not gonna wait for you. And I always knew, and I think my biggest thing was, again, the people I had around me. The window for success in this sport is this big. And as you get older, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And I knew I had to keep working no matter how I felt. So, looking back on my case, people can say whatever the they want about me, but I never stopped training. No matter what was going on, no matter how sad I was or depressed I was, I kept training, kept doing it. So you can have mental health problems, you can go see somebody, you can go talk to somebody, you can have the best friend to confide in, but there's a difference between sitting on your ass and acting like you can't get through it or being depressed and still doing it. And I think that's the definition of a man. It's like, yeah, you might have some problems, you might have some suicide problems, you might have some depression, but you still got a job to do. Yeah. So that's your duty as a man, to get up and keep doing it, keep providing, keep trying. And if you stop doing that, then yeah, you are. But I think that's the difference of today is people do have depression, they do have these things, and they just stop trying. And they wait for somebody else to take the reins.
If somebody on my business team texted me or called me and told me, I really need to take the day off for my mental health, they would be fired. I would never speak to them again.
Yeah.
And I would just send a text, and their email would be, they'd be locked out of everything in my company, and they'd just be fired at that moment, and we would never speak again.
Yeah.
And everybody else in the company and we would just laugh about it.
So you seem like a very non-emotional type guy.
Well, I agree with everything that you said a moment ago. It's like, I have emotions like everybody else does, but but I could wake up and go get shit done.
Yeah,
when I
exactly.
I don't want to talk about specific injuries the same way I wouldn't publicly ask about your specific injuries, because when I fight with somebody someday, they're going to try to exploit that. But I have a couple injuries right now. Well, good luck.
You already know my arm's broken. You know about it.
I have a couple injuries that from training that I'd have to have surgery to repair, and maybe two for sure. And I'm like, yeah, but I didn't skip training the next day. I had a very serious injury with one person, and then Henry Hooft was supposed to come over the next week. I never said a word to him, but the guy that I trained with that I got hurt with was from his gym. And then he tells Henry, hey, blah, 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 I don't know if he's going to be able to, and Henry's calling me, and he's like, we're still training him. I say, yeah, the flights are booked, it's on the schedule. And he's like, but I heard blah, blah, blah. And I said, I don't give a fuck, because I'm not dead.
Yeah,
I'm not dead, we don't. And he's like, yeah, but if you have this, a serious injury. I said, Henry, if I was in a wheelchair, we could watch tape, we could watch videos for 6 hours a day, and we could talk about it. Yeah, we could. Incremental progress.
Yeah.
It's on the schedule. I never canceled on it. I never missed one day of training. I'm not trying to be a professional fighter, but that's a hobby. But I show up for my hobbies more than most people show up for their primary career.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of proud about that.
Oh, 100%. You should
and
be.
then when I hear this pussy shit of my mental health, I feel stressed out every day too, man. That's just how life is.
My coach John Marquez, you would get along with very well. You should interview him. He's a very he's in Philadelphia. He's in Kensington. Still lives in the hood, and grew up doing some illegal shit and seeing a lot of stuff and whatnot. But he's very every time we we all sit together as a group after training practice, and he talks to us, and sometimes he's he says very vulgar shit the way that he talks, and he's like, dude, I don't give a how you feel. He's like, my job's to coach you guys. My job is to break you guys or push you guys to your limit and make sure. And he's like, if I say one more round, I see you roll your eyes. He's like, get the out. So you think I care how you feel? He's like, you think they care how you feel when you're tired in a fight and they're trying to take your head off and now you're getting your ass whooped? He's like, but he's very much like that, no nonsense. He doesn't care how you feel in the gym. When you're at the gym, you got a job to do. And if you aren't here to show up and do it and give your absolute best, and why the f are you here? We don't want you here.
I love that. I love them already.
But I think that's why I'm improving, and I think that's why I have the right team. I don't have yes men around me. I think there's a lot of guys that have yes men. I like Kelvin, but I don't think Kelvin has been able to reach the top because he has reached the top, don't get me wrong. But I don't think that his career has had his resurgence yet. And I even offered his manager yesterday, I was like, bro, I'd like to see him come train with us because I don't think we would let him f off. I don't think we would be able to, just the way that we train in general, I think we train a lot harder than other gyms. And that's coming from guys that come from big name gyms that I won't say that are like, dude, we don't train like this. Like, you guys are different. You guys are different. And I think that's why we've had success as a team. And but yeah, man. I mean, so yeah, men's mental health is, yeah.
I don't give a shit about my emotions. I care about my outcomes. You have to love your goals more than you love your emotions. And you made a comment loosely earlier about dreams, and a comment that I make frequently with my clients, like, you don't need, nobody cares about your dreams.
They don't.
You need goals.
Yeah.
You need goals. Goals are more important than
Goal
dreams.
boards.
A dream is something that a little child has. A dream is something that a baby has. And he has a little dream about his mommy's teeth. And he all right, and then a little while later, he wakes up because he realized he shit himself. When he wakes up from his dream, he realized he shit himself, and now he's crying for his mommy to come change his little diaper. Okay, so that's what a dream is. But a goal is something that it doesn't matter if you only slept 3 hours. You don't need to be laying in bed dreaming about something. You need to get up and go physically do something and intellectually do something to advance your situation, to accomplish your goals.
Well, I think it's a great example. I had what age I said I had my dream of being in UFC. I was 8 years old. I was a child, and then it became goals.
Yeah.
Get to my pro debut. Get to this. Join this new team. Get this strength and conditioning coach. Like, I had a goal board, and my coach Sam Morpizza, very big on writing out. He told me to write out my plan. Write this out. Tell me where you want to live. I had friends that would be like, go drive by the house that you want to buy one day.
That's
so
great.
I can see that. So I was but that's the transition. It's funny you say it because I never thought about it like that. But I've always known I was a goal-oriented person, and I would always write the shit down. But I had people that guided me, like, go buy, if you want to buy a beach house one day, like, that's where you want to retire. Okay, go figure out the house that you want. Go drive by the house you want. Go envision, the place that you want, the car you want to drive, you want to, the check that you want to get paid one day, and those are all things that I think help. Like, it's a great example. Dreams are for children and goals are for adults, but
it's true. It's true.
It's just funny
I
the way
have
you say
plenty of
it.
emotions, and every other human does too. But if your emotions aren't helping you accomplish your goals, then how long do we need to sit around? The three primary negative emotions they talk about in psychology are anger, depression, and anxiety. You've touched on all three today.
Yeah. And I have all three. Sometimes, but it's something like,
I have a lot less depression than most people seem to. I'm very low on the depression or anxiety part, and I tend towards the anger part, which is probably why I like you, or I'm like, all right, I kind of get this guy, I think. And then when I get angry about something, I think, all right, asshole, what are you going to do to fix it? Like, is there something you can fix? Is there something we can do to make it better? Yeah. And I think the sooner we can get back to, like, just looking at, like, objective reality as closely as you can, understand reality. I just had this conversation the last couple of days with Greg Jackson. The sooner we can get back to just, as close to objective reality as your, silly little human brain can figure out, then now we can get back to productivity. And if we're distracted with all these emotions, happy emotions, negative emotions, like, Henry Cejudo, and Henry's a good guy, I like Henry, but he said, Derek, how are you going to celebrate? You're about to get your next belt promotions. How are you going to celebrate? So I'm going to be back in the gym on Monday training. Like, how the do you think I made the thing happen? It's, I'm not. You're not going to take a trip or something? No,
it's the same thing everybody asks me.
I'm not taking a trip.
What are you doing? I'm like, bro, I don't drink. I don't party.
Yeah.
And I don't want to party. Like, what's there to celebrate? I won. That's my celebration. And I get to go back with people I love and care about and pay my team and take care of them. That's my celebration. And then I got to keep going.
I love it. When things are going well, it's nice to take a moment to acknowledge, like, all right, that's great. Another landmark, another stepping stone, another landmark. Yeah. That's great.
But my brain is like,
next?
I got next. Yeah, I got to train. I got to get better. Now I got to fight the top 15 guys. Kelvin was arguably a top 15 guy, even though he didn't have the number next to his name. When he left, he was number 14, just beat Chris Curtis at middleweight, and then he went down to 70, didn't do that well. Now he was back. I think I beat the best Kelvin too, the best form of Kelvin in a while, honestly, because I saw he was training hard as shit. They were trying to weaponize the whole elevation thing. Like, obviously he was training for that. Like, he was in great shape for that and all those things. Like, obviously physically he doesn't look like an intimidating dude, but it's just how he's always been built. And
his whole family has that similar body type.
Yeah. But I ain't got no beef with him, and I think he's a good dude, and I'm happy for him. And if he ever wants to come train, come get it.
No, you're doing great with those things. I'll focus the audience for just a minute about some of these goal things again, because I think you're an interesting person to have that conversation with. But your goals don't care about your feelings. you got to go. You have to love your goals more than you love your emotions, your feelings, guys. And if that's hard on your mental health, then tough. But somebody's going to go do that work, and somebody's going to be living in that nice beach house. I say this to my clients all the time. They're like, you can't do 80% of the work and think you're going to get 80% of the outcome. Like, if you did 80% of the work that you've done, you wouldn't be in the UFC at all.
Yep.
At all. You'd be, maybe be a Denny's manager. Maybe,
I would have been done when my
working.
arm broke.
Yeah.
I would have quit.
There you go. All right. So I think think through the numbers on this with me, if you haven't thought this way before, is I think, all right, say a guy financially, say his potential, he could make 10 million a year if he really gave himself to. And if 10 million a year sounds like too much, bear in mind that like the wealthiest entrepreneurs in the world today, like Elon Musk has over $400 billion. 400 billion. Bezos is over 200 billion. There's several people that are over $200 billion. So if 10 million sounds like too much to you, then, there's plenty of people that have a lot more money than that. But if you're a serious person with, 100 IQ and a hell of a work ethic, you could go make some money like that if you devote yourself to it. If a guy made an 80% effort instead of 100%, you don't get 8 million.
Yeah, no.
You don't get 1 million. You don't get 10% of the goodies.
You don't get shit.
An 80% effort doesn't get you 10% of the benefits or the goodies. It's like you can be almost as smart as that guy. You could work, you could work hard too. But if you get distracted with instead of doing your best, you're not going to have 80%. You're not going to even have 10%. I think you have about 3%. In money, that's how it works out. It's like if you're making an 80% effort, if one guy is making 100% effort and gets 10 million, the other guy might be hardworking, puts in long hours, but he just off sometimes, and now he's making 300 grand, which is a lot better than an average income, but it's compared to his potential.
Yeah. Well, it comes down to work ethic, comes down to discipline, comes down to commitment. I think the other thing that's funny about this situation too is like, unfortunately, you have to have losers to have winners. You have to have failures to have successors, and everybody plays their role. That's how we've defined success. Like, you won the war, you lost the war. There's winners, there's losers, and unfortunately, without the losers, there aren't winners.
But there's a lot of things that you have done, and that I've done, and that some of the people out there have done, that you have a lot of degrees of latitude to change the outcome. Your behavior can change the outcome.
Self-belief is, I think, the biggest one. I say this, my strongest emotion I've ever felt was unexplainable, which was I never thought I was meant to be average. Didn't know why, didn't know what the it was, but I put all of it into this sport, obviously, and it was right. So, I never believed I was meant to be average. So I think that was a powerful emotion too, but my self-belief is unwavering. Like, you put me in there against anybody, big, small, bigger than me, I don't give a like, I truly believe I have a chance to whoop your ass. So, and I'm not intimidated because of somebody's accolades or how they look physically or anything like that. Like, none of that bothers me. So I think I have a really good mind for the sport to be able to look at it from an analytical point of view. And, I'm not the most technical guy in the UFC. Obviously, I'm speaking like I'm a world champion, but that's the self-belief I have. I think at some point, I'll be a world champion, and that's my goal. But even beyond that, my true goal, like, my goal doesn't stop with being a champion. My goal goes beyond that. I want financial security. I want that beach house. I want that dream car. I want the freedom to wake up and do whatever the I want, drink coffee and go walk out by the beach, or, go travel the world, or whatever it is. I want that financial freedom, and that's my real goal. And I think a lot of people's goals end with like, I want to be a champion. I want to be a champion. I'm like, bro, that's here today, gone tomorrow. It's got to go deeper than that.
I had a conversation with Riddick Bowe about that a couple of years ago, the boxer guy.
Yep.
He's like, I'm going to be the champ. I'm going to be the champ. And he became the champ, but he didn't hold on to it for very long. And, to your point about, you have to think about what's next. It's not just, winning a title or a belt or something, but, what's the rest of your life going to look like, or what is the next financial thing or goal-oriented thing after that that your life is stable and good for the rest of your lifetime. Because at one time he made over $100 million in his career, and then he has a sad story. I don't know if you know this, but Riddick Bowe, he had the way the story is told to me. I don't know that that's a fact or not, so I don't want to slander the guy if it's not true. But the way it's told to me is his manager / attorney steals most of his career earnings, that he had $30-ish million laid around and owned a nice house that was paid for and so on. and it says, you know, he just trusted this guy to, you know, sign this thing, sign that thing. And at some point he's getting kicked out of his house. He has no money in his bank accounts. His wife leaves him. He goes to prison later for, you know, abduction, for like, you know, kidnapping his wife, which, you know, he didn't harm her or something, but he's, you know, the guy has some problems and, you know, wants to have his family back type of thing. So he had a very low prison sentence, and the judge was empathetic about his circumstances, but, you know, he became the champ and made a lot of money. But you got to protect those assets and still make good decisions in the aftermath. And he's another sad sports story that, you know, good man overall, but sad story. And to your, what the f- was the other? Oh, to your other point a moment ago, there's the critics online. You know, do they got to go fight a tough man in front of the president? Do they got to go deal with it? And then weight cuts. Even the weight cut is like, I would hate weight cuts.
It's the biggest fight for me.
I weighed in at 274 yesterday, 9.8%. I'm under 10% body fat, but I'm 274. You think I'd like to cut down to 205 or something? Like, I'd die.
Yeah. You're going to stay at heavyweight, man.
Yeah, that. If you know, imagine they don't know. Imagine he had to lose 35 pounds for this guy to make weight. He's got to lose 35 pounds to, you know, and then go deal with a bunch of media during the same time.
Well, their counter to that would be like, why don't you just move to 205? Well, dickhead, because the guys are 6'4", 6'5", and they cut from 240.
Yeah.
I'd be undersized. Now, in the future, I think I'll go to 205 at some point, but I haven't built my body to be a 205 frame yet. Yeah. I cap myself at 220, so I can make the weight. I think they should make a 195 class, but that's me. I think the jump is too big to be 20 pounds from 185 to 205. Definitely should be a 195-pound class. So
195 and what do you want? More stable pay.
Guaranteed. Yeah, but you know, ultimately, it's, you know, how much can I really complain, right? And I'm not here to complain. I'm here to fight, and I'm here to try to make a living for myself, just like anybody else in any other job. And I think the fans are ignorant to that, and that's fine. They can go fuck themselves. But I think that's why I have what people perceive as a negative attitude. I'm a very personable person, but I don't like people to step on my toes or try to intimidate me or try to discredit the work that I've put in. And yeah, so I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but at least I'm real and I'm blunt and I'm to the point, and I don't have to wear a fake face. The same thing you said about why you do what you do. That's why I do what I do. I don't want to be a fake person. I'm not a character. I'm just me. I've always been the same. You could go find videos of me from when I'm 18 and I'm still the same. Still the same dumbass I am now. Just a little smarter, you know? Yeah.
Well, you had great momentum. You had a great story. And
who do you want to see me fight next?
Who do I want to see you fight next? I don't care who you beat up in that division. I think Brendan Allen is a buddy, so I'd rather not see people that I like, you know, hit each other. Brendan's a good guy. Yeah. I don't have no other caveats there. So, you know, I wish you well. Who's champion over there right now? It's
Trickus.
Oh, Duplessis. Yeah.
Yeah,
Duplessis. Yeah, he's tricky, tough guy. What are your observations of him? Of, you know, just objectively, his style of fighting is very unorthodox and unique.
It works for him. That's about all I can say, is that it works for him, and he's worked on his cardio obviously from earlier on in his UFC fights, but he's always going to be a champion that gives you plenty of opportunity to win. That's what I do believe about him. So, like, even in the Khamzat fight, I think Khamzat's going to have a really good chance at winning. But at the same time, if he's not able to get that finish inside the first 2 rounds, DDP is going to prevail because he's going to keep going. He's going to keep going. And that guy's got a lot of heart, bro. So even though he's not the most technical guy, and there is a lot of error for him to get hurt, he's made it work, man. And yeah, he's a dog, bro. I enjoy watching him fight because it's fun. It's unorthodox. It's funny to watch sometimes, but how can you blame him? He's beat an all-time great like Izzy, who I held in high regard as far as kickboxing, and has done, you know, beat a lot of good guys. And then, you know, he beat Sean Strickland, who's a tough guy, you know, gangster dude. And yeah, so DDP is the man, bro. He's the champion.
Yeah, dumb people are champion for a reason. They don't tend to stick around long if you don't tend to get there accidentally, and if you did, you wouldn't stick around for long. So, you know, respect to him as well. No, I appreciate you making time and telling some of your story and sharing some of your personality with me, with the audience as well.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't think that this interview would be like this. It was more of like a serious one. As far as the topics we were talking about, didn't know anything about you or anything, so I appreciate it. And yeah, I like talking to you, man. It was good. This is a good podcast, good show, whatever you call it.
Final words to a young man out there that maybe he has some anger or anxiety or depression, and he's on the fence of like, I don't know if success is for me. Success is not for everybody. Doesn't know if it's for him. How would you help him make that decision if he should put in the work and be that guy or just accept a lower place in the world?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not a therapist, right? And I don't know the answer, but what I would say, what I've been saying and what I will continue to say, and through my documentary and through my life story that we briefly went over, but it's obviously pretty extensively out there, is that as far as the male population, go into sports, man. If you're a kid, find a sport, stick to it. It changed my life, and no matter what I was going through or how sad or how depressed or how angry, I just kept working at something. So if you can be all those things, you can be sad, happy, angry, depressed, or whatever, but you have to work towards something. You have to believe in something aside from your own emotions that can honestly lead you astray and down a bad path. So, give it to a sport. Why not? Why can't you be in the MLB? Why can't you be in the NBA? Why can't you be a UFC fighter? Why can't you be NFL? Why can't you be NHL? It doesn't matter what the sport is. Put unwavering amounts of time, commitment, and dedication into a sport, and value your health. That's the other thing I would say. Very, very much so. Value your health, and just outwork the next guy, man. And if you can't do that, then maybe you ain't cut out for greatness. But just keep working, and you'll make it.
I like it. And just building on that, for my final thought, is that success is a lifestyle choice. If you're in a first world country, no matter where you came from, no matter what your family is like, or the mean words your mommy said to you, you could choose to be more and do better. My mommy said plenty of mean words. No one was ever meaner to me than my mom. Nobody was ever meaner to me than my mother. My dad wasn't there. My mom was a mean. I didn't go to my mother's funeral.
Yeah, I think people don't understand. I don't think people understand that we live in a great country compared to the rest of the world, man. So
and when I say that, my dad wasn't there. I hated my mom enough. I didn't even go to her funeral. And I'm grateful for the opportunities I had in the United States. If you're in a first world country, success is a lifestyle choice. It's a choice for you to go make a few $1 million, or go win some trophies or win some plaques, or win in any way you want to win that's meaningful for your goals in life. I think you got to set a bigger goal, and then take that backwards engineer that. What are the stepping stones you would have to do to get from here to there, and to the next step, and to the next step to reach some of those ultimate goals. And somebody's going to live in that nice beach house, and somebody's going to drive the nice car, and somebody's going to have the pretty woman that treats him well, and somebody else is going to have a small house with an angry fat in it. And you're going to choose who you're going to be, man. If you want to live in a big house with a beautiful wife that treats you with respect because you're a man who's respectable, you could choose to be that man. And if you don't mind living in a small house with a big wife that treats you with disrespect, you could choose to be that man. But it is a choice.
She snores like a whale.
I hope. Snores like a whale. I don't know what kind of sound a whales make, but I do actually.
All right, pig. Sorry.
Snores like a pig. Sounds like a pig when she snores in your ear. Cheeto dust on her hoofs. So that could be you. And if you're willing to settle for that, if you're willing to settle for that woman, and if she's willing to settle for such a lowly man, imagine who else she settled for. Imagine the series of other men that she settled for in the past. Is like, I don't even want to think about it. But you don't have to have a used car and a used wife. You could choose to do better, and I hope you do. So I'm here to help those of you that are serious about finance. And Joe, I enjoy your humor and
thank you,
and some of your motivational comments throughout the day too. So
thank you, brother.
Respect, man.
Appreciate it, man.
You watch this video all the way through, and that tells me you're dedicated to learning more and earning far above average outcomes in your life. Congratulations for that. But now it's time to take action. If you could have earned those results by yourself, you would have done it already. My head coach has opened up a few spots on his high-demand calendar for an in-person, one-on-one strategy session to help you. On this call, we'll give you the pragmatic advice that you can implement tonight to get laser-focused on the right metrics and leave mediocrity far behind in your past. Click that link right now in the description below and apply for your call immediately. Do it now.